There's a new term called passport bros, and it means basically guys who go to Asia or Latin American countries in order to find a woman or a girlfriend. And so this is a new term. I just heard it today, and I have to be super honest about this. So I'm 44 years old. I've dated a bunch of European women, and after having dated so many European women and also tried to meet women that are, there's a couple of women that I felt were a perfect match for me, and I tried my best, but it seems that they just don't see it. And so I, being very intelligent and also having a high ability to analyze and see patterns, I noticed that there are two problems with Western women: extremely ego identified, arrogant, and projecting, and high demands. So you would have basically these four things: extremely high demands, very projecting, often also traumatized. So you got a bunch of things that just don't work, okay, for a healthy, normal relationship. And that's the thing, that there's many guys who look good, and or there's many guys who end up with a woman, but they're not really satisfied. It's not really a good working relationship in a lot of ways often, and but they don't see because they're not in the level. But if you're on that level, on the consciousness level, that you can see a lot of problems, traumas within the person, then you're like, how's that supposed to gonna work? And unfortunately, I made the mistake to stay in Europe for over 20 years and try to find a woman here. And now I see, while I like French women a lot, now I see that it's probably just not gonna happen, and I'm just wasting my time here. So I'm actually, without having known this term, I'm actually going to become a passport bro, because I'm definitely going to Asia and Latin America. Definitely going to look in the Philippines and Thailand. Probably more Philippines. I don't like the Thai girls so much physically. And maybe South America, but they're a little bit more fire. So a Philippine woman would, I think, work very well with me if she has, some spiritual interest as well. And so I do think that, and I know, spiritually speaking, how difficult it is to get rid of, this identification, this arrogance. All of this stuff is super difficult to drop. And if you're 20, you can maybe wait, but it's probably not going to happen anytime soon that, women in the West will wake up to how they've changed themselves, and with this strong identification. So I'm definitely leaving to Asia and Central South America, and I don't see how, I literally don't see how a European woman could work for me anymore. And it was very interesting to hear this podcast about passport bros, that many men realize this now. And if I look back, like, saying I'm 44 and having had all these experiences, there's literally nothing big wrong with me, except that I'm not very tall, um, that I'm not very masculine, and that's pretty much it. But that's already enough for most women to, cut me off. So passport bros is the way to go. You're super crashed right now, okay? Um, Eat rice and honey with eggs and bananas. Everything raw, even the rice. Eat it raw. um, okay, so basically, passport bros is is a new term, and it makes perfect sense. And I see myself definitely leaving for Asia end of this year, um, and to Central South America. I don't see myself staying in Europe because there's one thing is you have the thing is that a lot of men are becoming aware of. In America, I think it's worse, but there's a lot of really beautiful women in Europe. Um, I think much more than in the US. So you have beautiful women in Spain, in Italy, in France. But when you get to know them, you figure out they all have this modern mindset already, and it's very confusing for the men. It's like, I don't want to have children. I'm fucking arrogant. I have high demands. I don't know how to cook. The list is literally endless. Like when you start a relationship with a European woman, it's like, why? It just literally doesn't make any sense anymore. I'm not having a relationship just because, you have a pussy. I'm not having a relationship just because you're good looking. I want a relationship because we match and we enjoy our time together and not have this a fight. And I tell you something. I tell you something super important as an energy healer. Most women that I meet in Europe, they have a sense of hate towards men. And sometimes I remember this woman from Argentina. She was very Europeanized. She was very European in a sense. She because I don't, by the way, Argentina I see a little bit separate from the rest of other South American countries in terms of like mentality. But anyway, so I told her, I think I felt she had some hate towards men. I was like, I think you have hate towards men. And she's like, no, I don't. But I could feel it. So I repeated twice. And she said, yes, I have hate towards men. After I repeated again the question. And I noticed this with a lot of women. A lot of women in the West have hate towards men for various reasons. Could be all kinds of reasons. And that just doesn't work. You cannot have a relationship with someone who is this much traumatized in some way or projects in some way. And if I look and there's a lack of maturity also. Like for example, I remember after I broke up with my last ex-girlfriend 4 years ago, she wrote me, she's like, I went to bed with this hunk guy on Airbnb, on Airbnb, on Tinder. He looked like Photoshop with a six pack. And I'm like, I didn't mind her telling me, but I'm like, she's she at the time she was like 33, I believe, 34, 33. Like, you should be already know you should the fuck know what you're doing with 33. You shouldn't be fucking around like just for fun. It doesn't make any sense. But the woman will be like, yeah, I can do whatever I want. It's like it makes literally no sense. With 33, you should know already what you want, and it should be from the heart chakra and not this kind of like it's it doesn't bother me that she told me or that she did that. What I found strange is that a woman that I was with doesn't even really know what she wants, what's good for her. It's there's a lot of self-sabotage already. Also, there's a lot of hatred toward themselves also. It's a weird world in the West with women. And so passport bros is a new term, makes perfect sense. I'm gonna be a passport bro, and I'm looking forward to meeting Asian women. A friend of mine who's together now maybe 10 years with a Philippine woman, she's about 20 years younger, more or less. He says it's the best relationship he's ever had, and it feels like a warm foot bath. He literally says this. I said, "Come." I told him, "Tell me the truth. How does it feel for you?" And he comes from Europe, and he left to the Philippines. So so basically, like literal, I'm not joking, guys. Literally every woman that I meet in Europe